This is the Jae Choe Show, brought to you by Karate Beyond. Discipline, focus, confidence. KarateBeyond.com. Let's begin.
Jae Choe Show, episode 112. I am here with Mr. Mike Musick. Welcome, sir, to the show.
Thank you very much. Good to be here.
You're running for city commission.
Correct.
Is the title like commissioner?
Yeah. I guess it'd be Mr. and Mrs. Commissioner. Yeah. So we've got two ladies on there right now. So I guess they would be Madam Commissioner. I don't know. That's good. I don't know, more like a Batman thing. I don't know.
Yeah, I was going to say like a Jim Gordon.
Yeah, exactly.
Commissioner Gordon, like Batman style, right?
Yep.
If you would please get the microphone a little bit closer to you. Yeah, there we are. Okay. All right. So, what the hell does a city commissioner do?
It's interesting. One of the first questions that everybody asks, I met today with Joel Ivey, who's the director of our Lakeland Electric Company, and one of the first questions they always ask is, what are you thinking? Why do you want to get into this? And then, the other question that comes up from people that aren't in maybe the city management is, what do they do? So really the city commissioners hire two people. We hire our city manager, which is Sean Sharaus, and then we hire the city attorney. Those are the two hires that we make, and then everything else is hired internally from the city. So then we review, as a commission, those two, and I don't know if it's yearly. I assume I haven't gotten to that point yet. Review them. So then you've got the late legislative end, and then you've got the day-to-day productive end, which is what the city does. So things like, if you read in the paper, we just settled with the city hospital, right? Lakeland Hospital basically paid a lease. Because we own the land, own the building, and they were paying us a lease. A lot of hospitals pay $1. Well, we had a higher fee. We were paying, I think the city, the Lakeland Regional was paying $12 or $15 million a year for this lease, and then we're taking that money and putting it into the general fund and spending it. Well, they just paid a lump sum, or they're going to pay a lump sum of $215 million, I think, and basically at that point the contract will be done, and then they'll pay a yearly rate of $1 or something like that. So what the commission does is, A, they have to approve that, and then two, they work with the budgeting end. Is, okay, what are we going to do with that money? So all of the different departments, Parks and Rec, Police Department, different departments like that come before the board, the commission, and they say, here's what we want to do, and they need the blessing of the commission to be able to do that.
Okay, so you guys approve
Policy.
or not?
Policy.
Yeah,
exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
How many commissioners are there in the city?
There's 6, and then there's a mayor, which would act as the 7th.
Okay.
So we have 4 districts, 2 at large, which would cover the whole district, and then the mayor.
Whoa.
So a total of 7. So
all right.
So the one I'm going for is the southeast, which is where we live. I live right off of Beacon, so just up the road from you. So it's our area down to Lake Morton, to Lake Miriam, 98, and then South Florida. So that's District D. Scott Franklin, who was our representative, is now up in Washington. So he made the leap from city to national, which is pretty impressive.
That's great. Okay. All right. So you guys vote on stuff, approve stuff on policy. Damn, that just sounds so sexy.
Yeah, I haven't heard that one yet.
Being sarcastic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's interesting. So you have a son?
Yeah, son and a daughter.
So you have a son and a daughter. So I've got 3. They're my daughter in a couple of weeks will turn 19. So I'll have a 19, 20, 21-year-old.
Whoa.
Right. That's the age of my kids. So they're all in college, and my oldest is graduating with a degree in graphic design, and they're up in Ohio in college. That's where they're going. 2 of them are going there. One is here at Southeastern. And I'm walking with him through the application process, filling out job applications, looking for job applications. And he wants to stay up north for a year and do some internships and some work with some friends up there. And he's finding it hard to find a job. And so these things are what I'm looking at. And I mean, we're blessed. We were talking about this before we went on air, right? We're blessed in this area. I mean, we're open. You can go anywhere you want to eat. It's our city has, certainly there are individuals that have taken a hit through COVID. a roofing business, and we've been very blessed. We're working hard, and we've done very well. But there's a lot of places in our country that are not doing that great. So I'm looking at it. I don't have aspirations to be a governor or president or anything like that. But from a local level, there's things that we can do. So we can actually, as citizens, have a voice, right, to who we can elect, and then those electors can truly have a voice for local, because I say all the time, it's much more important what happens in your house than what happens in the White House, right? Because the local commission, things that they do affect every day, right? Rates for property taxes, rate for electric usage, water usage, so all those things, that's a big effect for you and for me. And obviously what happens in the White House is important, but everyday life is affected by things and changes that are made here with our city commission, with our county commission, and with our state legislators. So I wanted to do all I could to help my kids, your kids, and all these other kids. I want them to come back, right? I want my kids to want to come back here and live and set up their family. And in order to do that, right, we've got to have high-paying jobs. We've got to have a place that's fun to be at. We've got a great Parks and Rec department here. We've got no state tax. We've got relatively low real estate taxes. So I want to fight for that. I'm a small businessman, so I look at it like this. Does the city have the money to do what they're asking us to do? Then that's great. If we don't, then we don't do it. Right? We don't just come back and say, well, we're going to go ahead and raise your taxes so that we can afford to do blank, whatever the issue is. And I'm opposed to that. It's important that we live within our budget, because you have to do that both as a father and a head of household and with your business, right? If you don't have money, you don't go buy a bigger building. You don't buy new equipment until you can afford to do that. And if you just go and say, well, you know what, I'm just going to raise my rates, I'm going to double my rates, well, that's going to affect your business, right? Mm-hmm. People are going to say, it's no longer cost effective for me.
Right.
So, I think that government, especially at a local level, really needs to be run on as tight a budget as possible.
Okay.
And I want to help with that.
All right. You mentioned having kids that are older now, which probably affords you a bit of flexibility and time to be able to make this kind of pursuit.
Yeah, and I absolutely, yeah, and that's one thing that I talk with my wife ahead of time. She's a professor of nursing at Southeastern, and I just said, hey, listen, here's what I want to do, and I talked with my dad and my mom, and she said, let's go for it. And you're right, yeah, it has afforded me time, although it's amazing, Jay, how much time it takes. I would not have realized the time it takes, the meetings, and I wouldn't say the meetings that are required, but the meetings that are required to do it well.
Right.
To do it well, right? I mean, anybody can go out there and just kind of put a sign and put their name on the ballot. I mean, it's a relatively simple process to get on the ballot, but I think to do it well and to really wrap your head around what are the city's needs, where is the city going, that takes work.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I run a business and
have a family.
And have a family.
Yeah.
And that's so.
I mean, that's quite the undertaking. People have this thing. Well, I could be mayor. Right? I could be the city mayor. Or I could do this, that. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe you could.
Yeah.
But do you really want to? do you really want to, be a commissioner or be a manager or what have you?
I'm always impressed, in awe, and I'm also confused by people that are interested in doing politics for a lifetime. Because again, every decision that you make, even at the commission level, half the people probably aren't going to like it.
No.
You're
not there. I mean, you're not going to please everybody. So it's like impossible.
And you look at almost every election, no matter what the thing is, 50% voted for this person, or 49, and then 51 voted for this person. We're almost split down the middle, which is great, because that means that we don't have a strong majority controlling everything, which would make it difficult for those in the minority. But yeah, it's neat. I mean, this is my first foray into it, other than high school council or something back in the day. But it's been interesting getting to meet and reconnect with everybody. Gene Conrad at the airport. I mean, we've got some amazing things going on, at our airport.
Yeah.
So those kind of things have really been fun for me to get to know. So and hopefully, I mean, I'm in this to win. obviously, but if that doesn't happen, the knowledge that I've gotten is making me a better citizen, which is cool.
Okay.
And the
Okay.
connections I'm making are just fun. So
Tell us a little bit about where you're from. I mean, are you a Lakeland native?
I am not. My wife is. She was born here. I was born in Pennsylvania. I was born in a town called Williamsport, which is where they hold the Little League World Series. So if those are involved in baseball, and we moved down here when I was 7. So, and I'm 49 now. So that was quite a few years ago. So, and we've got 3 kids that were all born here.
And you said 2 of them are in Ohio?
2 of them are in Ohio. Yeah, my kids all went to Lakeland Christian. My dad taught there for over 40 years. That's where I went. I've got 2 sisters and a brother. We went there. So my kids went there, and there's a small Christian school up in Ohio that we connected with, and all 3 of them would be there, but my middle son, it was a little too cold for him. So he's back here
He's
studying.
back. He's going to go to SEU?
Yep, he's at Southeastern. He wants to study nursing. And then my youngest daughter, she's a track and field athlete. She does hurdles for them up there, and she's enjoying the cold.
Yeah.
It's fortunate. It's not upper Michigan. It's not upper New York. So I mean, they get snow, but it's not dreary. So.
Okay. All right. What do you want? What do you want out of? I mean, you have a roofing business.
Mm-hmm.
You know, your signs, by the way, are slightly deceptive, because when I see Musick, right, and I immediately think of Musick.
Mm-hmm.
I think of music as in spelled with, like am I looking at a, is it a piano company, or is like, and then you had the building, or your office is right on South Florida Avenue, isn't it? Like near Beacon.
We've moved from then, but yes.
That used to be there used to be like a palm reader in there.
Yes.
That's
correct.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So hopefully that palm reader person had
we
created some
walked
good
through
juju.
with some holy water and got it all cleared out before she, left something there for us. But yes, yeah, and so was there a question behind that?
Well, no. It was like no, because I remember first seeing your sign, and it was you had your office was the palm reader's office. Well, not anymore, obviously. But then I finally connected the dots, because you're in construction and they do roofs.
Yeah.
And
So I'm a state licensed contractor and then roofing contractor, and I've really gotten out of construction, and all we do really is roofing, which has been great for us, because honestly, Jam, I'm really simple. I'm a simple guy, and when you'd go and build a building for somebody, I mean, you might have in your file 600 pieces of paper, right? And you've met and interviewed Sandy Johnson. She does a lot of work for us, and she's very type A, very organized. I'm whatever the complete opposite of that is. So when you look at like our folders now, for roofing, there's like 5 sheets of paper in there.
Oh, beautiful!
I can wrap my head around that.
I love that.
Yeah. And
actually, if you can get it on a one sheet, I'd really appreciate it.
And I probably could copy and paste, and so that's been good for us. And I like the turnover. I like that we'll do 400, 500 roofs a year. So getting to meet people, because I'm a salesman, I love people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a 7 on the Enneagram, and I really like to go out and talk with people. So being able to do that has just been a blessing for us. But
yeah, I saw that you were who was it? You got the endorsement from Rich Wills.
Yeah, Rich Wills. Yeah, and
yeah.
I've known him for a lot of years, and he's a great guy. So yeah, and we've been fortunate. I mean, again, I've been here for over 40 years. My dad taught at Lakeland Christian School for over 40. So the great thing for us is that my wife will be in the grocery store, and somebody will see her last name. Oh, are you related to Mr. Musick at Lakeland Christian? And oh yeah, he's my father-in-law. So there's certainly a blessing to having a good name.
Right.
And
I mean, the small town vibe here in Lakeland is still very strong.
It is. It
right?
is.
Like everybody knows everybody.
Yeah, 100 and something thousand people, but yeah, we're still a small town, and it's been neat. And going back to hey, what do you want? It's interesting. My wife and I we've been fortunate to have traveled a lot. We do. She's a nurse, and I do construction, so we've done a lot of missions trips. We've been to about 20 countries. I've visited every state in America. I've been to every state. I lived in Alaska for a while, worked in Hawaii a couple of years ago. So
Wait a minute, what were you doing in Alaska?
So in Alaska, yeah, that's a fun story. So I went to Florida State out of high school, and I was a track athlete. And Lakeland Christian School was about half the size that it is now, so it was a really small school. So I went from there up to 50,000 students.
You went to a party school.
And I couldn't handle it. I just couldn't. And when I say handle, like I couldn't handle it, meaning I didn't enjoy myself, and it was a shame. I wish that I had gone to a smaller, maybe a closer school. So anyway, I was there for 2 years. And I left. I said I can't do this anymore. So, me and two of my friends, we bought motorcycles and rode to Alaska.
Whoa,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I had never ridden a motorcycle before. I didn't have a motorcycle license. I didn't have motorcycle insurance. But back in the day, there was like these little like magazines, and in the bottom it was make $30,000 fishing in Alaska. It was this little postage size ad, and we'd cut it out when we were in like high school. How we should do this kind of thing, and then after I left Florida State, we said, hey, let's go. And my wife, she wasn't my wife by then. She was just a good friend of mine. I just said, hey, I'm going to go to Alaska. And so we bought motorcycles, and literally we had a map, and we knew we needed to head north and then west. And we didn't have any other plan other than that. And so we'd pull over, we'd drive up. And on a motorcycle, you can only drive so much. The wind beats you up and all that stuff. So we'd drive a couple 100 miles or so a day. And when it started getting night, we'd literally pull over into the bush, and we'd sleep.
You had like what? Like
we had sleeping bags, yeah. And we drove up. We went up through Chicago into Canada, and then just literally cut straight across, and went up to Anchorage, and then went south. And we literally drove until there was no more land. It's called Homer, Alaska, like Homer Simpson.
How long does it take you guys?
3 weeks.
3 weeks.
Yep, 3 weeks.
3 weeks on bike.
Yep.
Sleeping on the side of the road,
Yep.
in sleeping bags, probably getting some food via gas stations.
Yep, that was
right?
pretty much it. Yeah, I had a couple of $100. I remember. I don't remember exactly what it was, but it was $400 or $500 that I had to get up there. That's all I had. And when I got up there, I had to make it work. And so we got up there and connected with an individual, and we literally worked on a boat for.
What kind of boat
I was up
was
there
it?
for about a year. Well, the first one was a salmon boat.
Okay.
So we did salmon fishing. It was really interesting because what you did up there back in the day is they took the ocean and they divided it up into a grid, and you purchased sections to fish. And once they opened that fishing for 2 weeks, you fish for 2 weeks. I mean, you don't sleep, we don't do, and it was.
And you've never worked on a fishing boat?
Never worked on a fishing boat. I mean, I had been never.
Wow,
oh, no,
what
no,
a
no.
risk.
It was something. So and then we'd come in for the weekend after working for 18 hours a day, literally. And this is the summer in Alaska, so the sun never sets, right? I mean, you look in the horizon, the sun never sets.
Yeah.
So, and I was up there. So my bike died when I got up there. So I didn't really have transportation, and I wasn't going to ask my parents to come back. So it took me about a year to be able to save the money to be able to fly back. And
you were
lived in barns.
2021 at the time?
I would have been, probably 2021. Yeah.
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 Lived in barns.
Lived in barns, and then that's when I got it. So then the winter came, and they didn't really do much fishing for salmon then. So we did some crabbing and stuff that you see on TV that wasn't fun and popular back then. But that's
it was
when
like
I got
straight
into
up dangerous.
It was, yeah, and it was during the summer it's hot it's bright all the time. Well, in the winter it's the opposite, right? So it's dark all the time. So you've got these these traps and these things flying around you, and it's cold and it's dark. So
did you ever get into a pickle where you're
one time? So I didn't mind the cold water, so I would be the guy who, when the net would get caught on the prop, I would dive under the boat and I'd unhook it. And for doing that, I didn't have to cook, I didn't have to clean, I didn't have to do any of that stuff that the other deckhands would have to do. So,
damn.
Yeah, and so yeah.
Whoa, hold on. You're the guy in charge of that was tasked with diving into that cold water.
Yeah.
And untangling whatever mess was happening.
Yeah.
And again, this was your first foray into being on a fishing boat.
Right.
Dude, that takes big brass ones.
Well,
what in the world?
Yeah, it was interesting because the Alaskans, obviously they knew better, right? So they're like, yeah, we're not going to do this. Let's get this this guy from Florida. He must, and so yeah, I mean, I would dive under a couple. No, probably not once a day, but once every couple of days, the tides would turn real quick, and the net would just get caught on the prop. So I'd dive under and just unhook it. And
Did you have like dive gear?
no, I'd wear like a skull cap, like just because it was so cold, you didn't want your brain to freeze, and that was pretty much it.
And then you'd get fished out, I guess, and
Yeah, so
or you'd find a way out.
There'd be a ladder, they'd throw a ladder down, and I'd climb up it. Yeah.
And then so they give you a break for like a couple hours after doing that.
No. The only thing I didn't have to do though is I didn't have to cook or clean.
Okay.
Right.
Well,
so
that's cool.
Somebody else always cooked and cleaned. So I never had to do that, which was nice. Yeah. So and then one time, this is probably I've got two great stories from Alaska, and one was I was able to cut the head off of a bear. It was a Kodiak bear, and I shipped it back, which I don't think is legal, but hopefully it's long enough that it doesn't matter now. It had died, and we were waiting for our turn to go and fish, and I was looking through the binoculars, and I saw all these bears around this one bear, and then they walked away, and I asked the skipper, I said, hey, can I take the skiff up to the shore? And so I did, and this thing was dead, and it was warm, and it was probably 12 feet long. I mean, it had literally crawled to its death. It was just old.
Yeah.
So I had a 4-inch little serrated buck knife, and I cut his head off.
You wanted the head.
And I did. I wanted the head because my dad was a teacher of science, so he always had skulls and stuff. So this is gonna be awesome.
Right. This would be a great.
And I have it actually at the house. I have it at my house now, and it's probably, I don't know, 14 inches long, and all the flesh is off of it. So that was one really, that was a cool story. Now the other one's a cool story, but I didn't really know much about what was happening at the time. But I'm in the water, and I'm undoing the net and stuff. And as I'm coming over, my skipper's looking down, and he's like, "Hey, I need you to get going. Let's go. We got to come up here. Let's go." And so he it was kind of weird thinking back because he would never really cared, but he was telling me to get up, and so I get up and I'm climbing up the ladder to get into the boat, and as soon as I do, the boat gets rocked. There was an orca in the water with me down there, and he saw it and didn't want me to see it and stop and turn around. So there was basically a killer, because there's seals and stuff up there that they eat that we throw overboard when they get caught in the net. So
and they're smart enough to get a free meal.
Looking for a little tasty Mike on the boat. So I got it. Literally, I climbed up into the ladder, and it came and kind of hit the boat and rocked it a little bit because it was going after me. So
man,
that's a cool story. Although I didn't get to really see it because it was behind me. I didn't know.
But they told you, hey, by the way,
after I got up there and he rocked,
you almost got eaten by a killer whale.
That was pretty cool. Which is fine. So I've got two boys, right? And my middle son's name is Remington, and he's an adventurer. My oldest son's name is Parker. So now they're hearing all of my stories, and they're like, yeah, we want to buy a motorcycle and go across the country. And my wife was like, it ain't gonna happen. Not gonna happen. So, what you could do, 30 plus years ago, and what you can do now. So
I mean, the idea of doing the things that we did 30 years ago, and now is like, I don't know. It just for whatever reason doesn't work.
Yeah, it's a shame.
It's a shame. It's
really
a crying
is.
shame,
Yeah.
right? Like I mean, post college, I spent a few months backpacking through Europe.
Did you? That's awesome.
Didn't have a cell phone.
Yeah. I know. God forbid.
Didn't have a cell phone. No
Yeah.
iPhone.
Yeah.
Right. And no social media. No Waze app. No nothing.
Yeah.
It's just a little guidebook and a passport.
Yeah, we go to Disney quite a bit, and I've gone to Disney just thousands of times as kids. We'd go there all the time, and I literally remember my mom just saying, "Okay, we're gonna meet over here at this place at noon," and we'd be gone.
Yeah,
we'd be gone, and we'd go up to a stranger. Hey, what time is it? And now, I mean, you just can't do it.
I mean, is it because there's just so much more information that's being passed around about all the spooky stuff, all the crazy stuff?
Probably.
Probably.
I don't think the world is nearly as dangerous as we're hearing it is because the information is so available.
Right.
I
mean, back when though, you hear about like the Zodiac killer,
right? Yeah,
right,
Charles
or like Charles Manson.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, dude, those are some dangerous times, right?
Yeah, one of those. What was it? Ted Bundy, was he at Florida or Florida State? One of those.
Gainesville.
Yeah.
UF.
So,
yeah. So I mean, when you hear about that, and you're like, yeah, that's pretty scary stuff.
Yeah.
But now it's like that level of scary seems like it's, I don't know.
Maybe
everywhere.
they've gotten emboldened. Maybe criminals are more emboldened. I don't know. But
I doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe it's just the same level.
Yeah.
Right. Well, what is that? The crime series that was on Netflix? Where I couldn't finish it. It was Mindhunter on Netflix, and there was 3 seasons of it. and I had to stop on season 2 because it was just creeping me out. I couldn't go to sleep at night.
My daughter, Britton is her name. She loves it. She loves that stuff. She reads all those books, and she's thinking of going into that criminology type.
Yeah.
You know, and really, she actually thinks she likes maybe the psychiatry aspect of it.
Right.
So we'll see what she does there. But yeah, I can't watch those things. Nah, give me a good Adam Sandler comedy, man. I don't need to watch that kind of stuff.
Okay. All right. So, man, you got some stories. dude.
So hold on. So I'm looking across, and is that your diploma behind you there?
Yeah.
And does that say landscape architecture?
Landscape architecture.
So how did you get from that to what you're doing now?
Because I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I went from getting a degree. That degree came because which is now one of my best friends at the time, freshman year of college, I was doing so poorly my first year that I was just looking for any course that was going to yield me, a high grade in an easy way.
Okay.
And my buddy goes, "Hey man, you need to go take Introduction to Landscape Architecture. You're gonna love it. You just sit around and draw all day, or for the class." I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right, I'm good. I'm in." So I took the class and I loved it. I loved it. The professor was great, and that got me into architecture school and consequently into landscape architecture. But I mean, 2 years out of college was miserable. You're sitting here in a cubicle, 60 hours, 70 hours, whatever, a week, and this is not the life that I want to live. So yeah.
So how did you get from there to what you're doing now?
Oh man. I mean, in the
you've
most
always been
roundabout
part of
way,
that, right?
Yeah. I mean, so far as the martial arts community,
Right,
for
yeah.
sure. Yeah, my father
Right.
who had the school, and then a few years back, I started a brand new one with a completely different program.
Yeah.
A completely different way of go about doing things.
Yeah,
So,
I've got some friends, Sandy and Ben, that have their kids there, and I've hopped in a couple of times.
Oh, you
watched-
have? Oh, okay.
And watched
All right.
that, and
Yeah.
it's so neat to see that kind of a thing with these kids starting young. So that's pretty cool.
It gives me unbridled joy.
Yeah.
To do it. Like, I really am stoked and hyped about being and doing what I do now.
Yeah.
Tremendously.
Yeah.
I mean, and all for the most selfish of reasons, because I got my own kids.
Exactly.
I got my own kids. I
Changes
kind of
your
like
perspective of just
seeing
about
them grow
everything,
up.
doesn't it?
Kind of like seeing them do well based off the actions of what parents, do for their kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it gives me tremendous honor.
Yeah.
And I get to see all my knucklehead friends from back in the day bringing their kids in
Yeah.
now to my
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I coach track and field at Lakeland Christian, and it is some of the greatest joy you can have is to hang out with. I mean, I call them kids; they're younger, but
Would be young adults.
but they are. It's just the energy they give you and the life that they live. It's just it's a lot of fun. There's a lot of fulfillment that comes with
Yeah.
being a coach, a teacher, things like that. So,
Yeah, I mean, and I feel mortality like just slipping through my fingers now. Now that you're in your 40s, I'm in
Yeah.
my 40s. The body just doesn't bounce back the way it used to, right? And I'm starting to see time for what it is, invaluable.
Yeah, it is interesting. So I'm 40 nothing. I'm 49. I'm almost 50. And my dad passed away a couple of months ago from cancer, and I will tell you, it is amazing the perspective that it gives you and the change it gives you, because my dad was 74, so that's me having 26 years.
Yeah,
and that'll take
not
your
a lot of
breath away.
time.
That'll take your breath away, because it's I've been out of high school for longer than that. So I sit back and I rewind that clock. I'm like, you know what? And I think the encouragement that it gives me is not to waste. And that goes full circle back to running for commission or having my own business. It's like, now's the time to strike. Now's the time to do, because God's given me the energy, the strength, the desire, the friends and the support around to help. And because life's not about just, grabbing a golf cart and retiring somewhere.
Not exciting at all. Does not excite me.
No, not at all. No,
Nope.
that's my wife and I want to see the world. We want to see everything. If you ask what I want, that's what I want. I want to see everything. I want to see everything and do everything. we've taken our kids. We've taken one to Africa, one to Chile, one to Brazil. We've traveled all of Central and South America, and we've not been out to Asia at all. India, Russia, none of that. And that's what I want. I want to set my life up so that I can afford to do and to see those things. There's so many people and so many cultures that are just awesome. We're in a small little bubble here, which I love.
Oh yeah,
but
we're blessed.
To go out and to see and enjoy and to taste the food is just, it's that lights my fire.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Very good. That's what you want.
That's what I want.
All right, man. Hey, how can people find you?
They can go on to, if they go to the website, musicforlakeland.com, we have links down there for our social media on the bottom. They can click that and follow it. April 6th is coming up. It's a special election, which usually means there's not a whole lot of turnout, which is a shame because we need to have turnout. The way that the system works right now is there's 4 candidates on there right now. Somebody has to get 50% of the vote. If they don't get 50% of the vote, we kick into a runoff. Top 2 will go to the runoff. Well, then that's in May. So we have an election in April, potentially one in May, and then in November is the election cycle again. So it's just back to back to back. It's just potentially miserable, but you know what? It's a great opportunity. I would certainly want everybody to go and do research on the candidates. If you go to my website, I've got phone number there. I've got emails there. We do a real good job of responding to questions. People are asking, "Hey, what do you think about this in Lakeland? What do you think about that?" And it's great to tell them, and give thoughts and share ideas. And I'm looking forward to it.
Mike, thanks for coming on the show.
Absolutely.
Best of luck to you.
I appreciate the opportunity.
Yeah, and everyone go out there and vote.
Thank you for listening to the Jae Choe Show. Brought to you by Karate Beyond. Discipline, focus, confidence. KarateBeyond.com.